Hello everyone, I am Alex Vizina, and today I will demonstrate how you can use the Smart Editor widget in ArcGIS Web App Builder to collect information more efficiently from your office or during a field inspection. This video is part of the series Get Smart About Editing. Stay tuned as more videos are made available periodically. In my example today, I am using a configuration of the Sewer Editor application from the Sewer Data Management for ArcGIS Online solution available on the ArcGIS Solutions website. If you haven't yet, I recommend that you check out this solution for your own implementation. I've configured my application to perform inspections on existing manhole assets in a sewer network, and I will use the Smart Editor widget to gather information related to the inspection. In this application, an inspector can quickly select a series of manholes on the map and start collecting information for their inspection based on their observations. For this manhole here, I can create a new inspection record. The inspector's name is already populated here based on the preset value in the application's URL parameters. The inspection date is also automatically populated with the current date and time, and so I can go ahead and fill out the rest of the form. Some hints are shown to help me better understand what information is expected for a given field, while fields may be hidden, required, or disabled based on my previous inputs as I fill out the form. So, for example, if there's no pre-cleaning, then the pre-cleaning date field is hidden and does not need to be filled out. Also, if the weather is dry, I will not need to provide information related to the runoff potential. If the cover condition of the manhole is not sound, I will also be required to add an attachment to my inspection form. This would ideally be a photo of the damaged manhole cover. So now let's take a look at how this application is configured and how this configuration affects the inspector's experience while collecting information. Since this application is meant to be very focused on the editor's experience, I will stay clear from anything that is not necessary to the inspector's task. So first I will choose a theme that puts the Smart Editor widget first. So here I'll choose the jewelry box theme with a focus widget on the left of the app. Now I can add the Smart Editor widget to the side pane, and I can configure my widget. Since I'm reusing this web map in other applications tailored for different workflows, I will choose the custom settings, so I can configure my own editing settings, which may differ from the ones in the web app. So first, I will determine what can be edited. The inspector is only allowed to edit features from the manhole layer. They will not be able to create new features, so I will enable Update Only. And I don't want to allow moving the features while performing inspections, so I disable geometry editing. I don't want the inspector to edit any of the fields in the manhole layer, but I will display the asset ID so the inspector can quickly identify manholes. The manholes layer has a related table. If I click the table icon under Actions against this layer, I can now configure the settings for that related table. I will enable editing rows in the table so the inspector can add new inspection records, but I will disable delete so they cannot accidentally delete previous inspection records. I will keep most of the fields to be editable and displayed in the related table. Now I will enable both options to expand all parent layers on load and expand all related tables and layers on load. In this way, the inspector will be able to see the asset ID for a selected manhole and the list of existing inspection records, and quickly be able to create a new one without any unnecessary additional clicks. So now let's take a look at how attribute actions can help us automatically collect data during an inspection. First, let's configure some preset values. These will save time for the inspector who will not have to manually enter these values every time they fill out a new inspection. My first preset, inspector name, shall be assigned to the inspector field in the manhole inspection related table. I won't predefine the value for this preset, but we'll keep it as a placeholder. This preset will be populated based on the value provided in the application's URL parameter. When this application will be shared with an inspector, their own name will be added to the application URL so that it will be automatically entered into this field. In this way, different inspectors can use the same form and have their own name automatically added to the form. Next, I will add a date preset. I want this date value to be written right into the inspector date field in the manhole inspection related table, and I will select the value for the current date and time. So when an inspector creates a new inspection record for a given manhole, the current date and time values will automatically be stamped into that field. The form that inspectors are required to fill out may appear a little bit long, and maybe some fields don't need to be filled out given some conditions. So that's what smart actions are for, guiding the user throughout the form by making fields hidden, required, or disabled based on certain conditions. The field entry weather provides the inspector with a series of selectable values going from very dry to saturated. Based on what the inspector selects here, it may not be necessary to fill out any information for the next entry runoff potential. Given that, I can set up a smart action to hide the field entry runoff potential if the weather is set to very dry, dry, or damp. So I will add an expression for these conditions and select the field to hide. Now, if the inspector selects any of these values, the next entry is hidden. I can have a similar setup to hide the field pre-cleaning date if the values selected in the pre-cleaning entry are unknown or no pre-cleaning. Now, while both the fields for the inspector's name and the inspector date are automatically populated with the presets I've configured previously, I may want to allow the editor to fill out this information if the value happens to be empty, but I may also want to disable any changes if it's not empty. So I will make these fields required if they are blank and disabled if they're not blank. So for example, if the inspector's name was not properly defined in the URL parameter for this application, the inspector field will be blank and a value will be required when filling out the form. The form cannot be saved until the value is entered. Finally, attachments can also be made required using smart actions. From the layer settings actions for the related table, I will configure smart actions for attachments. And here I will make an attachment required if the cover condition for a manhole is defined as anything but sound when the inspector fills out the form. In this way, the inspector will be prompted to add a photo attachment of the cover when doing the inspection, so an engineer can review the damage later. Now that we've taken care of the data collection in the form, let's see how we can provide some more guidance for the inspector. First, I'll update the text that is shown at the top of the widget when it's loaded to guide the inspector towards using the search, the select widget, or the attribute table widget to find and select features. I can also add a description against the manholes layer and the inspections table. And I can even add images if I think it may be helpful to the person using this application. Some fields in the inspection form may be misleading or unclear, and to guide the inspector on what kind of information needs to be provided, I can add hints in the web map for the given field. So for example, here I've added the following hint in the web map to the pre-cleaning field to clarify what's expected here. Finally, let's make sure the inspector can find and select the manholes to inspect. First, I will configure the search widget to browse against the asset ID field in the manholes layer. In this way, an inspector can type in the asset ID for a manhole to quickly find it on the map. I will also configure the attribute table widget to provide a list of the manholes displayed in the current map extent, so an inspection can be performed on any of the selected manhole records. Finally, I will configure the Select widget to only allow selecting manholes on the map, so the inspector can quickly select the manholes to be inspected and have them loaded and ready to go to start filling out the inspection forms. So this ends our session on the data collection form. Are you enjoying the Smart Editor widget? What do you think of this video series? Please take a few moments to share your feedback with us. Help us provide the tools and the information you need so that we can help you be successful. Scan the QR code on your screen to fill out the survey. Thank you for watching.